At 5:05, we're going to talk with ABC's Jim Ryan about a new study. It's the first of its kind that shows 25% of the country's critical infrastructure is at risk of flooding. New York-based First Street Foundation has done a county-by-county risk assessment and has figured out which areas are at greatest risk of flooding. The group points to Hurricane Ida as the perfect example of the widespread damage and death a single event can bring. Here's some of the top stories coming out of the 24-hour KFI newsroom. Federal investigators, as I said, are working to figure out what caused a small plane to crash into a neighborhood in San Diego County. A UPS driver and a doctor from Arizona were killed yesterday when the plane nosedived into the delivery truck and two homes in Stampede. Two other people were hurt. Officials say it is not yet known how many people were aboard the plane, but the crash was not survivable. This neighbor says he felt the impact of the crash.
I ran over, saw the woman from the church house on the side of the street was burned, and then me and several other people were running into the backyard, and I was able to get one other guy out from the house.
The two homes the plane crashed into were destroyed, and 10 others were damaged. Officials say debris is scattered for nearly a block on the crash site. The California Department of Justice is investigating the oil spill off the coast of Orange County. Attorney General Rob Bonta says he wants to know what, if anything, could have been done to prevent this from happening.
Our investigation will determine the facts and who is ultimately responsible. If our laws were violated, we will hold those responsible accountable.
Bonta did a flyover of the coastline yesterday and then met with officials from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, the Coast Guard, and Amplify Energy, the company that owns the pipeline. Bonta also used the opportunity to push for a conversion to clean energy. Steve Gregory, KFI News. John Gruden's out as head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders because of emails he sent before being hired. They contained some racist, homophobic, and misogynistic comments. A report by the New York Times says Gruden used the intolerant language in several emails during a 7-year period. Starting in 2011, Gruden says he has resigned because he does not want to become a distraction for the team. When we come back, we're going to talk with ABC's Jim Ryan about a study that shows about a quarter of the country's critical infrastructure is at extreme risk of flooding. We'll tell you which areas are the biggest concern, but right now our biggest concern is going out to Long Beach, talking to Nick, and he says we've got some sort of a problem on the 7th. Hey, what's up, Nick?
Yeah, I caught it on the way into the studio this morning, and it is southbound on the 710 at Donald Boulevard. Really large fire in a commercial area that's burning to the west, rather, of the freeway. So just off the freeway, and the smoke is flowing into lanes. So definitely give yourself a little extra time getting out the door this morning. Slow your speed, 710 southbound as you're coming up. From the along the freeway, until the 405. I'm not getting on this or anything else from you guys. Sounds as if you're on the southbound freeway with certified traffic. Starting to get a little busy for you, westbound side of the 91 through the Corona area. Looks like it was over on Calipers. Working for your drive around Main Street just past the 15. That'll be still going for you. Leaving McKinley further westbound on the 91 right now from the 71 passing Green River towards the 241 toll road. Looks like that will be a bit busy for your drive. And also seeing problems for you back to the south bay, 405 south on your Inglewood Avenue. Looks like it was an earlier problem involving a car that went over the side of the roadway, and there's still some flares and lanes from that earlier problem. KFI in the Sky helps get there faster. I'm Nick O'Keefe.
5:05 on your wake-up call. Let's say good morning to ABC's Jim Ryan. Not exactly shocking, but a new report is out painting a bleak picture when it comes to the country's infrastructure and flooding, huh, Jim?
Yeah, and I think you're right, and not a lot of people are surprised about that. If you look at the last few years, Chris, you see all the flooding that happens all around the country, not just along the coastlines, but well inland as well. If you look at Hurricane Ida, for example, it came ashore near New Orleans, but then moved up north, and then as a tropical storm, it moved to the northeast. 100 people died in that storm as a result of mainly after the storm had been downgraded, but it dumped flooding as far inland as Tennessee, even western Tennessee, and all the way up to northeast, New York State. So, yeah, this is something that is increasingly troubling. First Street Foundation is the organization that has put this out. It's a nonprofit research and technology group. It looks at the flooding risk across the country with an eye toward improving things for government agencies, for construction companies, for people, developers, land developers, to ensure that they aren't building in a flood zone. If you look at Los Angeles specifically, 93,786 properties in Los Angeles have a greater than 26% chance of being severely affected by flooding over the next 30 years. That's about 12% of all the properties in Los Angeles. This takes a look at all the counties in the country in terms of their flood risk.
Mm-hmm. NOAA says flooding is the most expensive natural disaster in the U.S. and excuse me, now we learned that a sizable portion of the infrastructure is at risk of flooding, like what, 25%?
Yeah, really looking at, as water infrastructure, the power grid, even airports or public safety offices, just the basic things that run a community, hospitals, the basic infrastructure pieces that are at risk of flooding. So this organization makes recommendations on how that risk can be mitigated. That happens not only for homeowners, but for city planners, for the hospital owners. There are things that can be done. Increasingly, planners are going toward a 500-year standard as opposed to the 100-year flood standard, meaning that on any given year you had an opportunity to have flooding in your property. Now they're pushing it out to 500 years, raising the standards for construction and for maintenance.
Wow. Which states are the most at risk?
Well, not too surprisingly, places like Louisiana, like Florida, those two are top of the list because of their proximity to the Gulf and the flooding that happens there because of hurricanes. Then you move up the East Coast, well, the West Coast. California has its own issues as well, but not nearly as much as you do on the East Coast, where hurricanes are a much bigger factor. Most of the hurricanes in the Pacific obviously move the other direction, so places like California don't have that risk. You've got other issues, though, Chris. Mountain flooding that washes down rivers and creeks and causes flooding that way.
Right, and you're talking about, like you said, that, and so river flooding, flash flooding, coastal flooding, and storm surge. The storm surge we saw with Ida. Mm-hmm. I guess this report provides it's like the first ever nationwide understanding of community vulnerability to flooding. Nobody's ever done this?
Not to this degree, not looking specifically at the impact on infrastructure. Every insurance company has a big map like this to determine the risk that any property might have, a business or a home. But this looks specifically at things like hospitals and water plants and airports, things that are part of the infrastructure. So that was really the focus here, and I don't think that has been done before.
And so the United States is ill prepared, that's what they're saying, for extreme weather.
Well, I think it might have been, if you had a building, let's take a look at the building out in Florida that collapsed recently and killing all those people.
Yeah.
Something like 100 people died in that disaster. That building was put up 40 years ago to the standard that was required back then, but over the years, maintenance led to water issues there. Right before it collapsed, you had water flowing down into the parking garage. The thing just finally gave way. So, it had nothing to do with a storm that was happening. It was just years and years of neglect. So I think that's really what they're pushing for here. Better building standards, but also maintenance that ensures that water doesn't become an issue.
I saw some areas, I looked at the map and it showed the eastern seaboard, the Gulf of Mexico, were really heavy. The map has blue on it where there's, for people who didn't see it. But so it's really heavy along those areas. And then in California, there are a couple of spots. But I was interested in that there was a lot of inland areas in north central California. So it's not, it's in places that you wouldn't really kind of fear flooding, I guess.
Yeah, right. And that's obviously a different kind of risk. It's snow melt and runoff and the things that might fill up a river or cause flooding that way. But it's also about the weather patterns in any specific area. If you get a lot of heavy rain in a specific area from, blowing in off the coast, then that might bring its own flood risk. So there are lots of things to consider here in terms of where you build and how high you build and how much you build.
I used to live in Indianapolis, and I used to go water skiing on a river. Some thought it was pretty dirty, but it was the White River. And I remember, and it flows through Indianapolis and, the north part of town. And I remember when it would rain for a couple of days, the river would slowly, just like we see across the country, sometimes quicker, but it would slowly keep on getting big until the point where it would, it would flood all the docks and the yards and stuff. And it's just amazing how quickly and sometimes how slowly, but how powerfully these rivers and these streams can grow.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't take very long at all. And a place that's had a lot of drought, down here in Texas, for example, lots of the state is simply bone dry. If you suddenly get a deluge like you're talking about, that's going to cause problems because the ground essentially doesn't soak up anything.
Yeah.
You get runoff, and here comes the flooding. But yeah, it's not the places necessarily that you would expect. But I've covered a lot of flooding along the Mississippi River, and if that starts to flood, you've got 1,000 miles worth of potential damage that's been done.
And here in California, I've seen a lot of this happen, especially here in the Inland Empire. There are these flood channels or flood zones, natural ones, like rivers and creeks and stuff, and that lead to catch basins, and they've been filling up the catch basins with dirt and putting homes on top of them. Doesn't seem that that's going to help much.
Yeah, and I'm sure some insurance agents are take a close look at that. Do we want to insure a place that's built on what used to be a catch basin? It's designed, it's hydrologically meant to catch water. So
yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Hey, you said the dangers are only expected to grow over the next 30 years. Is a solution offered at all?
It does, yeah. This outfit does offer a solution, lots of solutions, in fact, tailored to each community. Yeah, looking at Los Angeles, it says that there are green solutions, green infrastructure, a cost-effective and sustainable flood management approach, including open spaces. What you're talking about there, you living in open space that if it floods, it's not going to be a big problem. It has gray solutions, which uses concrete or steel structures to control flooding, sea walls and upgraded roads, for example. So there are some solutions here, and I think that probably a lot of city council, city managers will be taking a look at this report.
And is there a price tag associated with this? Do they estimate that?
Well, the price tag that you'll see is associated with the flooding itself. It's something like, I think NOAA, the report you were talking about there from NOAA, said that it's been $1 trillion problem since the 1990s. $1 trillion in flood losses over the last 20, 25 years or so. So, I mean, you either pay for it now, I guess, in infrastructure repairs, upgrades, and planning, or pay for it after the flooding happens in repairs and relocations.
That seems like that's what the government likes to do. Not pay now, but pay later.
Push it, you kick the can down the road.
Yeah, and you and I wind up paying. All right. Thanks a lot, Jim. I appreciate it. Very interesting. We'll talk with you again soon.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, see you. When we come back, we're going to talk with ABC's Tom Rivers about a massive winemaking complex dug up in Israel, and it's about 1,500 years old. It includes 5 wine presses, warehouses, kilns for producing clay storage vessels, and tens of thousands of fragments and jars. And the Israeli Antiquities Authority says the discovery shows the area was a winemaking powerhouse during the Byzantine period. And they say they probably made about 520,000 gallons of wine a year. Right now, let's take a look at the drive out to Redondo Beach on the 405, Nick.
Southbound side at Inglewood Avenue. It's a crash that has the off-ramp taken away, and it was a vehicle that went over the side of the roadway. Right now, seeing just this vision of flowing for you. South along the 405 from Rosecrans Avenue as you come out of Hawthorne, heading to the Redondo Beach area toward about Inglewood Avenue. And checking your drive as you make your way along 91, just like that. It is a heavy drive out of Riverside. From as far back as La Sierra, 91 westbound, you will see a slowdown continuing through Corona as you make your way past Green River. Loosens up around the 241 toll road. Caltrans crews wrapping up shop for your drive in the Chino area. Was a closure overnight on the 60 right around Central, both directions rather, east and westbound of the 60 were shut down, and that is in the process of reopening. Seeing a bit of a slowdown for you, 60 westbound and stretches from as far back as Vineyard, and that does loosen up for you as you make your way out of the Chino area, continuing toward the 71. KFI in the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Nick Poliokini.
Oh, man, just wait till you get that September electric bill, Gary. It was hot and sunny all month. Kids are doing their schoolwork on the computers. You're using more appliances because you cook so much.
I do cook much. Bottom line is everybody uses more energy, right? But listen, since I switched to SolarMax technology, I can keep cool, I can run the appliances, leave all the computers on, the cell phones charged, everything. Because with SolarMax, my electricity is practically free.
SolarMax is local. They're right here in Southern California. They have the best products and service going.
Took the words right out of my mouth. SolarMax does everything themselves right here in Southern California. Exceptional quality control and no middleman. I save even more with no upfront cost. Plus, they've got the newest, most innovative Tesla products.
like the Tesla 420 panels and Powerwall.
Right now, pay $0 down for that Tesla package and $79.96 per month with a 1.99% APR.
Dial pound 250 from your cell and say SolarMax. That's pound 250, keyword SolarMax, by October 31st for this great offer. Monthly payment available on approved credit, CFOB, and 97248.
This report is sponsored by Anthem Blue Cross.
Anthem Blue Cross and Heart of America are helping schools across the country increase their access to healthy food. Learn more at anthem.com/ca/SPART. Anthem Blue Cross is the trade name of Blue Cross of California. This is Doug Gottlieb. Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by the NHL on TNT. The Dodgers are on the brink of elimination after dropping Game 3 to the Giants. It's the second time this series LA's been shut out. The Chargers lost their starting right guard to a season-ending injury. Ode Obushi will have surgery on a torn ACL. And big news in the NFL. John Gruden resigned as Raiders head coach. He informed his staff of his intention as more emails surfaced with racist and misogynistic language. I'm Missy Jordan.
The NHL makes the shift to TNT tomorrow night at 4:30 Pacific as the New York Rangers take on the Washington Capitals, followed by the Colorado Avalanche and Chicago Blackhawks. Watch NHL on TNT every Wednesday and follow Bleacher Report Open Ice for more action.
Before I started Rooter Hero Plumbing, I was an angry young man. Hello, I'm John McClan. I was angry because my dad died when I was 17 and he left me alone. I was angry because I couldn't go to college with my friends and because I had to drop out of high school. It's not a pleasant story. But as I grew older, I also grew up. I realized that my dad didn't leave me alone. He left me with values and principles that continue to shape my life. Dad said, be on time. He didn't like it when people were late. He taught me to be polite. It was something I lost, but recaptured along the way. And he taught me to keep my promises, because broken promises lead to broken relationships. We teach and keep these values at Rooter Hero Plumbing. I think we have a pretty good company. I know we have great people. And if one of our heroes fails to live up to these values, please call me. My private number is on the back of every Rooter Hero business card. You can also reach us at rooterhero.com. Thank you.
102-8886.
If you're worried about your borderline blood pressure, hear how others are taking charge with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula.
Garlic works safely and naturally to support my blood pressure.
Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula has a custom blend of garlic, vitamins, and minerals, so you know it works.
No garlic taste, no garlic breath.
Take charge of your blood pressure with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But Spanish is...
It's pretty bad. So freeze and dabble.
Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said, now we speak Spanish.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. If you own a business and manage to keep 5 or more people on payroll, a new government program will pay you up to $33,000 per employee. $33,000. This isn't a loan, it's a grant, it's free money. The challenge? Getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler. That's exactly why I founded InnovationRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. At InnovationRefunds.com, our tax attorneys and CPAs are experts at helping businesses like yours to get their share of these government funds. InnovationRefunds.com does all the legwork and doesn't charge you a penny until you receive the money. Our team has helped over 6,000 businesses to get some $450 million. And InnovationRefunds.com can get your business up to $33,000 per employee. Just go to InnovationRefunds.com, click on Qualify Me, answer a few questions. No risk, high reward. InnovationRefunds.com.
I'm Susan Owen, managing partner at OPO Law. Over 43 years of experience. Over 10,000 personal injury cases with a 98% success rate. If you've been injured, call 888-OPO-WIN for a free consultation.
I got sexually molested over the weekend. I went to the airport. I walked through the metal detector, and she gets those swabs. Starts swabbing my hands. She puts the swabs into the machine. Hamburger residue? And then she starts yelling, "Supervisor! Supervisor!"
John and Ken, weekdays at 2.
Person of interest. Yeah, I was a person of interest.
On KFI.
KFI AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Chris Little in for Jennifer Jones-Lee. She is on vacation. Here's some of the stories we're following in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. The Dodgers have to win 2 straight or they are done for the 2021 baseball season. The Giants beat them 1-0 last night in Game 3 of the National League Division Series. Investigators are trying to figure out why a private plane crashed into a UPS truck and some homes in San Diego County. Yesterday's crash killed the pilot and the UPS driver. A European court has ruled that the Vatican cannot be sued in a local court for sexual abuse committed by Catholic priests. The European Court of Human Rights affirmed that it enjoys sovereign immunity and that the misconduct of priests and their superiors cannot be attributed to the Holy See. At 5:35, we're going to talk with ABC's Sarah Isgur. The January 6th Select Committee has sent, I'm glad I messed up her name when she wasn't listening. The January 6th Select Committee has sent out subpoenas to aides of former President Trump and has asked for documents from the National Archives. Trump has said he will invoke executive privilege and we'll figure out what's going to happen with that. All right, time to say good morning to ABC's Tom Rivers. Hey, Tom, tell us about this big winemaking complex that archaeologists dug up in Israel.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest stories you'll hear today. Archaeologists working just south of Tel Aviv. It is a small town of Yazmi, and they're finding, wow, there's something here. Sort of like when they dig around in London, they find Roman-era remains. Well, they found something very interesting here. And going back, they found what was, in essence, a huge wine factory. All those years ago, they found warehouses. They found a kiln to make large clay vessels to carry the wine in. They also found other things, broken pottery in the area, and 5 wine presses. They put them all together, and we'll leave it to the archaeologists to see a little bit number. They think that they were making in the neighborhood of 520,000 gallons of wine a year.
Wow.
That's more than the local, exactly. It's more than just local consumption. So they think they could have, taken all over that southern Italy. So, yeah, they were big into it at one time.
Hey, what kind of wine did it produce?
That was like, I had that same question. Apparently a very light wine. And they all put down, that's an area of the Gaza, if you will, type of grape. So yeah, they were really into that, and that was their kind of benchmark, if you will, wine. They probably experimented with other stuff too, but I guess that's, according to the archaeologists, that's the main product coming out of it.
So back then, this is the world's largest wine-producing place?
It may well be, but it was huge. I mean, you think about it, tales of producing things like beer, mead here in the UK, and usually pretty small scale stuff. But this was literally, this was like a large multinational corporation almost. The equivalent thereof 1,500 years ago.
It's amazing. I saw pictures of it. It's just it's fascinating to see stuff like that. And the care that they take as they dig it up. That thing's huge.
Yeah. It was, they made a couple of bottles of wine. No.
Right, yeah.
It was amazing what they were cranking out there.
I guess back then they drank a lot of wine because the water was contaminated. I kind of like that excuse.
Yeah. Yeah, but they certainly had, and that's the same thing over here in the UK with beer. You have some pretty polluted times. The rivers here. They get the product of one of these things, and get onto the wine or get onto the beer, and you're going to be okay.
So you have to drink a lot of beer, Tom?
Yes, I'm good. I could use that excuse from my wife. Just wanted to
All right. Hey, Tom Withers, thanks a lot. It's always a pleasure talking with you. I appreciate it. We'll talk later. Back to some of the stories we're working on in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Two people have been killed and 2 others hurt in a small plane crash in San Diego County. That plane went down while trying to land yesterday afternoon. It crashed into some homes and a UPS truck. The pilot and the UPS truck driver were killed. California Attorney General Rob Bonta says his office is going to investigate the pipeline break off the coast of Orange County. Bonta was given a flyover of the coastline yesterday, and then he met up with some reps from Amplify Energy. That's the company that owns the pipeline.
We are focused on the immediate response to the spill, but we also want to know how this happened. Who and when.
Bonta was also given a briefing by state fish and game officials and the Coast Guard. He also took the opportunity to propose a conversion to clean energy. The FAA has hit back at planes by Southwest Airlines with air traffic control issues and bad weather caused it to cancel thousands of flights. ABC's Gio Benitez says the FAA says that's not true.
They sent out a tweet and they said, well, wait a minute, there were no air traffic staffing issues over the weekend, and that the issues that some airlines are seeing are due to aircraft and crews being out of sync.
The pilot union says the problem is Southwest just doesn't have pilots in the right place. Many families in the U.S. are expected to look for cheaper ways to eat and heat their homes this winter. ABC's Elizabeth Stokely says that's because the price of food and fuel is on the way up.
We expect research that all up more than 15% since before the pandemic. The CEO of Kraft Heinz now says these rising prices are necessary around the world.
Other food giants have announced price increases too, including Coca-Cola and Pepsi later on in business bites. We will get into that.
Okay, guys.
The Biden administration is again forced to step in and suspend a new law in Texas that has banned most abortions in the state since early September. The latest request came Monday night as critics in Oklahoma, Louisiana, and other states remain busy with Texas patients journeying hundreds